So Einstein gave us this idea that mass can be converted into energy by this equation E is equal to mc square, where c is the velocity of light or speed of light. According to Einstein theory, m is equivalent to energy, mass is equivalent to energy. How? E is equal to mc square, where c is the speed of light in vacuum. In a nuclear process, mass gets converted to energy or vice versa. So in nuclear processes, this mass gets converted into energy. That's why nuclear processes generate so much energy. This is energy which is released in a nuclear power generation and nuclear explosions. That's why very small amount of nuclear matter generates very large amount of energy. So here is discussion and small brief about one more famous scientist, C.V. Raman. He was the Nobel Prize winner for his discovery of Raman effect. Learn about him as well, because we have to learn about famous scientists, only then we can do great in physics. So please learn about him as well. Now let us come to the same mass energy principle. Energy is a scalar quantity, but all conserved quantities are not necessarily scalars. So you know scalar is something which has only a magnitude, like speed is suppose 50 km per hour. So this is scalar. But velocity is also shown 50 km per hour, but we have to tell the direction from north to south or any direction. If the direction will remain same, only the velocity will remain same. But if direction changes, suppose direction is now from north to some other direction, let us say east, previously it was from north to south, then the velocity will change, speed will remain same, because speed does not have any direction. Its speed has only magnitude, that means value associated with it, but the direction changes the velocity of the particle. Again, energy is a scalar quantity, that means it does not have any direction. But again, all the conserved quantities are not necessarily scalars. So again, if we see, all the conserved quantities are not scalar. The total linear momentum and total angular momentum, both vectors. So linear momentum and angular momentum, both are vectors of an isolated systems are also conserved quantity. So we will learn about conservation of linear momentum and conservation of angular momentum, but these quantities are vector quantities. These laws can be derived from Newton's laws of motion in the mechanics. So we will derive these from Newton's laws of motion, but their validities goes beyond mechanics. So we will derive for mechanics only, but their validity is universal. They are the basic conservation laws of nature in all domains. So they are also basic conservation laws. So what are the conservation laws till now? Conservation of momentum, conservation of energy, conservation of mass. Even in those where Newton's law may not be valid. So some places are there where Newton's laws are not valid, but these conservation laws are still valid. Besides their great simplicity and generality, the conservation laws of nature are very useful in practice too. So in reality, these are very useful in real life. It often happens that we cannot solve the full dynamics of a complex problem involving different particles and forces. So in real life, the system is very large and very complex. So what we cannot do, we cannot solve each and every part, full dynamics. We cannot solve each and every part. So we use these conservation principles. The conservation laws can still provide useful result. So even we cannot solve the problem completely, these conservation laws still provide useful results. For example, we may not know the complicated forces that act during a collision of two automobiles. Suppose two vehicles collide, yet the momentum conservation laws enable us to bypass the complication and predict the or rule out the possible outcome of the collision. Suppose on the road there is a collision. So definitely collision is a very complex process. It is not a very simple process. But the fundamental laws of conservation enable us to bypass the complications that what is happening there, and we can expect some kind of outcome what will happen in this collision. In nuclear reactions, elementary particle and phenomena, also the conservation laws are important tools of analysis. So even in nuclear reactions, elementary particles are quite difficult to predict, but conservation laws tells us that this will happen. Indeed, using the conservation laws of energy momentum for beta decay, Wolfgang Pauli correctly predicted in 1931 the existence of a new particle now called neutrino. So using these conservation laws, because there was beta decay was happening and others were not seeing this particle, so he was saying that some kind of conservation is violated, so there must be another type of particle which we now call neutrino. That particle was predicted by Wolfgang Pauli. So that particle is emitted in beta decay along with electron. So in this kind of thing we can predict something without knowing full dynamics of the process. Conservation laws have a deep connection with symmetries of nature that you will explore in more advanced courses in physics. So symmetries we will explore in later courses, like in graduation courses. For example, an important observation is that the laws of nature do not change with time. Again, laws of nature do not change with time. If you perform an experiment in your laboratory today and repeat the same experiment on the same objects under identical conditions, that means same object in the same conditions after a year, the results are bound to be same. Suppose you measure something today and you measure something next year, the result must be same, otherwise your law is not correct. The law given in your book is, I am not talking about law given by in your book, that means you have done something wrong with your experiment, because law will not change with time. It turns out that this symmetry of nature with respect to translation, that is displacement in time, is equivalent to the law of conservation of energy. So what they are trying to say, this symmetry means we are getting same result with respect to translation, that means displacement in time. So we have displaced in time. So first experiment was done today and second experiment is done 1 year later. So this is equivalent to conservation of energy. So same result we will get. Likewise, space is homogeneous and there is no intrinsically preferred location in the universe. So this is quite complex statement, but long story short, that if we do our experiment here at this place or this place, it will not make any difference. To put it more clearly, the laws of nature are same everywhere in the universe. So we do experiment here or anywhere, so the law of universe will remain same. Caution, the phenomena may differ from place to place because of differing condition at different location. So only change comes because of the environment, the surrounding are different or conditions are different at different locations. But if the conditions remaining the same, the phenomena will remain same. For example, the acceleration due to gravity at the moon is 1/6 of that earth. So you can say that gravitation on moon is less, but again the law of gravitation remains same. The conditions are different. Moon has a much smaller mass, moon is also smaller in size, so conditions are differing. The gravitation law remains same, is the same on both moon and earth. This symmetry of the laws of nature with respect to translation in the space gives rise to conservation of linear momentum. So this gives rise to conservation of linear momentum. In the same way, isotropy of space. Isotropy means you can do your experiment here, everywhere it is same. So it is called isotropy. Isotropy means everywhere everything remains same. Isotropy of space, that means no intrinsically preferred direction in space, underlies the law of conservation of angular momentum. So there is isotropy, all the sides are equals. This will give rise to conservation of angular momentum. The conservation laws of charge and other attributes of elementary particle can also be related to certain abstract symmetries. Symmetries of space and time and other abstract symmetry play a central role in modern theories of fundamental forces in nature. Again, we can see the conservation of charge as other kind of symmetry, and symmetries of space and time and other type of symmetries plays an important role in different types of theories.